Also, this freaking dude with the motorcycle.
Still? 1 week after?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
You ever think of just putting a pitfall trap somewhere in the asphalt? They'll die, but...
You know, it happens.
Like, motorcycles are known to be the most dangerous vehicles.
It's true. How the pitfall got there, who knows, but...
It wouldn't be unheard of.
You're right.
Hello, listeners, and thank you for joining us today on Those Nerds Over There, the podcast where we celebrate and discuss all our favorite nerd-themed content. We are your hosts. I'm Alan.
And I'm Sal.
Sal, we are officially a year and a week old now.
A year and a week old. And this is also our Halloween episode.
Ooh, I remember last year we attempted a Halloween episode, and I was not particularly spooky.
You know, it happens.
But happy Halloween, listeners. It's the spooky time.
Yes, if you like spooky time, some people don't. But, you know, you could still dress up, so there's that.
It's always fun to dress up. I would say some people like spooky time too much, and they begin... well... Oh, no, it was your store. They were selling Christmas stuff already, right?
Yeah, they started selling Christmas stuff, like, at the end of September?
Oh, jeez.
They're like, let's just skip everything and go straight to Christmas. We still have Halloween stuff, but...
I have friends who've been celebrating Halloween since the beginning of the month.
Nice.
Yeah, so happy Halloween to them. They know who they are.
For people that love Halloween, Halloween begins October 1st, so... But I can give them a pass since, like, as soon as the 100 mark for Christmas, 100 days to Christmas, I start celebrating Christmas, so there's that.
So you're the demographic your store was selling to.
Exactly.
Oh, good lord.
But anyway... Today we have some spooky content, I think, Alan.
I'd like to think mine's spooky, maybe more dark.
Okay, well,
but it's certainly something I was more excited about, and I felt like was more in line with the theme we wanted than anything else I could have came up with.
It's in the same genre.
I like happy things. I can't help it, Sal.
It's true. Do you like Halloween?
I don't. I'll say I'm indifferent about it.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy dressing up.
Okay.
But that's not particularly the spooky aspect of Halloween.
Yeah. Well, do you usually do things on Halloween?
What did I went to
Maybe
a costume.
Party.
Yeah, I went to a costume party last year. But again, not so much spooky as rowdy.
You know, partying is
no one died.
A good aspect.
No one was murdered.
Well, dang. I am very indifferent as well.
Then why are we doing this theme?
Because I like spooky stuff. I just don't care for Halloween. I like horror. I like being in fear. As weird as that sounds, I don't know. But the whole Halloween aspect of October, I don't really care for. I don't know why. It's weird. I think it's because my family never celebrated Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
so
yeah, that makes sense.
Just skipped me.
Maybe that's why I kind of skipped it too. Because Halloween was just like, since it always fell with Nevada Day, it was just kind of that day we got out of school.
Uh-huh.
And my family never really did anything traditionally Halloween. They just took us to the mall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Like, I don't even think I carved pumpkins until I was like 20.
Oh, was that day that there was a night that me and Sal and our mutual friend Jacob spent carving pumpkins. Was it that day?
It was that day.
Ah, I really do love carving pumpkins.
Yes, you shared my first pumpkin carving. I remember I did a really bad job, and so what I ended up doing was just stabbing my pumpkin a bunch of times with different things.
Okay, Sal ended up taking a wood chopping axe and plunging it into the top of the pumpkin.
Yes, it was just a pumpkin.
It was very metal.
Thank you. But yeah, other than that, it's Halloween's. I mean, I get it because I like all that stuff, but just I don't know. I don't do anything. Sometimes I'll watch a movie on Halloween, but I don't really go out to parties per se or go trick or treating or do.
We're too old to be trick or treating now.
Hey, tell that to everyone who still does it.
In their mid-20s?
I think so.
Oh, my apologies.
You know, go take a kid that is related to you and use them as an excuse. I love candy, so there's that.
Okay, I'd argue that that's not trick-or-treating so much as supervising at that point.
Well, whatever.
Did you ever, when you were younger and you went trick-or-treating, come by the bowls of candy where they just, like, take whatever and you just took the whole thing?
No.
Me and my friends did that once. I realized now we were awful children.
That is awful.
I think what's worse is, like, we were there and there was a family right behind us and they watched us do it.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I don't know why I'm telling this story.
I think whenever that happened, I'd just take a handful, but I only went trick-or-treating like twice as a kid, so...
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Well, I do hope our episode today will do the holiday justice, folks.
Yeah. So, we got some good stuff.
Alright, but before we get into the spooky stuff, let's get into the nerdy stuff.
Yay.
For first-time listeners, thank you so much for joining us. This is what we call the Nut Jar. It is a jar we filled with listener-submitted questions. These are fun, nerd-themed questions. If you have a fun question in mind, feel free to send those to us at our Twitter at ThoseNerdsCast or ThoseNerdsCast@gmail.com. We're actually in need of more questions. And if you do send us a fun question, be sure to include some kind of social media tag so we can shout you out. But here we go.
Non-spooky related questions.
I think. I don't really remember what's left in here.
Oh, you're right. It could be a happy surprise.
Oh, shit. Okay. Wow, this is a super old question.
Okay.
All right, from our former co-host Kazel. Find her at KazelR, Cazelr, on Twitch and Instagram, and Kazelu, Cazelo, on Twitter. She is an artist by trade and is doing a lot better at Inktober than we are, I believe.
Yes. Her drawings are, like, simple, even though I could never draw them, but it's, like, very interesting style, because it's all black and white except a splash of color, just, like, one color.
And she's doing musical instruments every day, and I think that's very pretty.
Yeah, just a person playing a different instrument. And the hands she draws are just like, so
oh my
good.
God. I don't know why I had this idiotic idea. I tried to draw hands on day one of Inktober. Immediate regret. Yeah,
I've drawn some hands, and oh boy, have those hands taken way longer than they should have.
So listeners, if you want to see some good hands, go check out Kazel's art. But today she asks, Parks and Rec or The Office? Pick one.
Oh, I think we mutually agree on this.
I know, which... my coworkers love The Office so much.
Uh-huh.
And I always feel so bad, Because The Office is now, it's like another one of those cultural touchstones, right? People constantly refer to it.
Yeah.
But I just can't stand watching the show.
I mean, I have the problem where I've just never watched it.
Ever at all?
Ever at all.
Not even clips?
I've seen some clips because memes are all over YouTube, but I've never watched a full episode, so.
I've watched 3.
Oh, okay.
One of them was at a mutual friend's dinner party, and ironically, the episode we watched was about an awkward dinner party.
Nice.
But oh my god, like the clips are funny for sure. But when I'm watching the show, it's like the time between the funny parts feels so excruciatingly long. And I'm just like, oh, everything, it cringe.
Oh no. We're gonna get added. So.
I know. I'm sorry, people. Please don't add us.
I always get told, Sal, you would love The Office. It is you. Which I don't know what that means, but I feel like I would like it. I don't know. It kind of feels like that thing where it's so old now and so ingrained in our culture that I don't want to.
No.
If that makes sense.
Well,
because I feel like I'm behind 10 years.
I guess I'm like that with Star Wars, but I mean, who told you that they thought you would be really into it?
Some coworkers, and I think Sus has told me I would like it too.
All right, do you trust these two people's judgment?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, then maybe give an episode a try, because my reluctance is based off experience now.
Yeah, mine is just me unwilling.
But like, you know how people rave about Friends and people lost their shit when Friends was going to be taken off Netflix?
Yeah.
That's like what I think The Office is for our generation.
Yeah. See, and the thing is, if I never watched Friends, I don't think I would watch it now.
Did you watch Friends?
I did watch Friends.
Yo, this off topic, but like, this was on a random Today I Learned Reddit post about Friends where the guy that played Chandler doesn't remember making the first 3 seasons because of his substance abuse.
Oh, Jesus.
I know. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, that's kind of sad. I do think Friends is very overrated, though. But that's not the... That's
different time, Sal. Different time.
Parks and Rec, however, is...
Oh my god. Parks and Rec is phenomenal. But maybe not the first season or 2, but...
Yeah, definitely not the first season.
But I think those first seasons are still better than The Office I've seen.
See, well, I have nothing to compare it to, but I do remember watching the first season. I think it was at your house.
What the hell?
I watched like a couple episodes and I was like, this is stupid. But I don't know what convinced me to watch more, but I started watching. And then when it got to season 2, I was like, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah. Oh my god. The Parks and Rec. And if it weren't for Parks and Rec, I wouldn't have given The Good Place a chance.
Yeah.
But Parks and Rec, like that show made me fall in love with everyone in it. Made me fall in love with Amy Poehler. Made me fall in love with Aubrey Plaza. Made me fall in love with Chris Pratt. Made me fall in love with Adam Scott. Everyone. Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
I ended up buying Nick Offerman's book after that show.
Of course. Yeah, like the cast is just the best. I mean, Parks and Rec, but I don't really have a
point of comparison between the two.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right. Oh man.
We need to give this question to you nerds.
Listeners. Like, I guess I don't want to put it like that, but tell us what you love about The Office. I know a lot of people love it, and maybe I think reading some of your guys' like experience with the show may help.
Yeah. And I think before Parks and Rec, I hated the whole documentary kind of style. But now that I like it, maybe I would like The Office. Because I used to hate it.
Isn't that going to be the style for High School Musical, the series?
It is. And that's one of the reasons why I want to watch it.
Oh, good lord. All right, people. Parks and Rec or The Office? Tell us what you feel.
Yeah. Don't add us, though.
Before we get on to the hopefully spooky content, we're going to take this time to thank our patrons. So Eloy, Sus, and Neil, thank you so much for your continued support. We wouldn't have made it to a year and a week without you. And we can't wait to spend this next year with you too. So thank you so much.
Yes. All right, Alan.
Hello.
Okay. What scared you this week?
Let's see. What scared me this week? Nothing. I guess nothing. I was gonna say, so a trick I learned on YouTube was that when the ads play, there's actually a button in the corner that you can click to say, never show me this ad again.
Uh-huh.
And I've been doing that for all the horror movie trailers.
Uh-huh.
Because at night, I don't want to see that shit. It scares me like crazy. That's why I used to have YouTube Red, just so I wouldn't have to watch the late night horror trailers.
Wow. That's... okay.
Yeah, I've had The Lighthouse play, and I know James is really excited for it, but it's not me, man. Alright, but what got me excited this week is anime related. So this week in How Far Can Alan Sink? Sal, have you ever heard of Beastars?
Beastars. No.
Alright. Well, Sal, let me give you some tags that I've gathered here. Okay, so it's shonen.
Uh-huh.
Furry.
You've lost me.
Sex.
Excuse me?
Love triangles, multiple.
Okay.
High school.
That's scary.
Slice of life. Yes. Continue. There we go.
Did this scare you because of how absurd it is? Or is it actually scary?
Alright, so it wasn't... How do I put this? I picked it because it was more kind of dark. There are some more scary elements to it.
Uh-huh.
And the animation plays well to that. But, yeah, I mostly picked it just because I thought of, like, the theme of, like, monsters and whatnot.
I see.
Okay, but let's talk about the show. So, Beastars the anime, it's a new shonen drama, and it does feature anthropomorphic animals. And the show premiered this month on October 9th. The manga series is written and illustrated by Ms. Paru Itagaki, and the show is being produced by Studio Orange.
Studio Orange?
Yes. Do you recall that name by chance?
I don't, but I looked up Beastar, and it's an actual legit star.
All right. So it's actually, okay, so it's spelled Beastars.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if you mashed up the word beast and stars.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. All right, so Studio Orange is the studio that made Land of the Lustrous.
Oh, okay. Good track record.
I only mentioned that because the animation in the show is all CGI as well.
Oh, well, that could be bad, but they did.
It could be. Right. Historically, anime and CG does not go well together, but Studio Orange showed us in Land of the Lustrous how good it can be.
Yes, and Ufotable uses CG too, so...
They do, but they use it they use it in their action sequences, not for, like, the whole thing.
True.
Meanwhile, this is, like, 24/7 in your face with the CG.
Yeah.
So the story of Beastars follows Lugosi, who is a 17-year-old gray wolf, and this is the slice of life portion where he's trying to navigate life through high school.
As a wolf does.
As a wolf does. Now, unfortunately, a recent murder of an alpaca student via predation.
Wait, like...
Yes, they were eaten alive.
Okay.
So that puts all the students on edge, and now there's tension rising between the carnivore students and the herbivore students.
Oh.
Yes, and in the world of Beastars, we have carnivores and herbivores who are now living together in civilized society, and the eating of meat in general is banned. So eating meat and eating another person are one of the greatest taboos and crimes in their society.
Kind of like, oh man, what was it? That Disney movie? Zootopia.
Yes, people have said this is like a dark Zootopia.
Okay, now I'm on board.
All right, cool. So as a result of like the civilized society, carnivores are heavily discriminated against because they're seen as just like rabid animals who could snap at any moment.
Right.
Meanwhile, because predation still occurs, the herbivores who are living in the society are in constant fear that they might get eaten. So there's oppression on both sides here.
Mm.
And so there have only been 3 episodes released, but after I saw the second episode, I went a little crazy, and I was so hungry for more content, I read all of the manga.
No way.
This is still an ongoing series, by the way.
Holy crap. So it's good then.
It's amazing. It was 149 chapters, by the way.
Jesus.
It took me 3 days. I am
shook.
It's, oh my gosh, the story is amazing. It's a very character-driven story. There's some really moving character arcs and struggle. There's some very dark moments because the acts of predation kind of happen semi-frequently, so you get to see some consumption. Which I'm not sure how well that's gonna look in CG, but in the manga, like, Jesus Christ.
Right.
That shit, yeah. Which is kind of weird because Japan has some crazy censorship laws.
You're right. Like, oh man, sometimes the censorship is so bad.
Seriously, favorite part is these character arcs. And favorite character definitely goes to the protagonist. And Lugosi is like our typical shonen anime boy. He, very kind, very caring, and slightly weird. He just wants to live a happy life. And he doesn't want any, like, harm to come to any of his herbivore friends. But, despite that, he's still a carnivore himself.
Right.
And he has to deal with those feral instincts that he has. These are intrinsic parts of him and all the other carnivore people in their world.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up agonizing a lot of the story, even currently, about that part of himself. And, he wants to be good. He doesn't want to simply see his friends as food. And I think that's one of, like, the cool different things about Beastars. There aren't there are quote-unquote villains in the story, but there isn't like a big bad evil guy. Like, for a lot of Bleach, it was Aizen, and for Naruto, it was like...
Right.
We don't really have that. The real villain kind of seems to be, I'll label it self-control for now.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, what are the characters supposed to do when the thing to blame isn't a person, but this thing that's a part of you?
This might be some kind of commentary.
But I think that's pretty wonderful. I think they joke about this too in the story, where it's kind of very philosophical.
Yeah.
The themes they explore in this. And I guess a bit of minor spoilers, like, the answer to like how do you deal with this stuff ends up being a lot of the characters kind of learn to accept themselves. They, through all the struggles and despite all the death and sadness in the book, they learn to come to terms with who they are. But it's portrayed as this like active thing where they continue to learn. It isn't like, oh, I'm finally okay with myself and I'm fine for the rest of the story. It's like continued new realizations.
Right. Dang. Alan.
What's up?
I didn't expect to feel. I expected to be spooked.
I know, right? Like, it starts out this, like, you're expecting this violent thing, but then there's some real moments where I was tearing up and crying.
That's so
reading the
weird.
story.
And, so I looked up the art. It does not look serious.
No, it doesn't?
No.
Oh.
It's just, it has to be the furry aspect. It just...
I felt like with the adaptation with the furries into art, she did very literal interpretation.
It is very literal.
Oh, and you don't... the realistic art style, I've never really been a big fan of, like, watching real animals fight. And I just feel like there's a lot of that. Plus there's a large amount of, like, just, like, severed limbs.
Oh.
Illustrated. So, and because like the realistic like animal art style, at least for me, it was like kind of grotesque and scary.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe I just have to watch it.
Well, so like I said, we're only 3 episodes into the anime right now.
Right.
We're still in the high school portion of the show, but one of the things I'm excited about since the show is in CGI is the action sequences later on in the show. Because I feel like if there's anything CGI is going to be really good at, is going to be those fight scenes.
Hopefully.
But watching the stuff from Land of the Lustrous, it's like, it's gotta be.
It's gotta be.
Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to those action scenes. Do wonder how gruesome they're going to make it.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of scratching and biting.
Because animals. This has piqued my interest.
Is definitely, I'm glad.
It's definitely something I would have totally skipped over by first glance. So
I feel like, because of the nature, of this show, it's easy to write this anime off as like, oh, this one's for furries, right?
Right. I think this art, though, in particular, is very... When you think of furry, it's like the stereotypical, this is it, whereas BoJack Horseman and like Zootopia had their kind of own flavor, I guess.
I see I see that.
So I think that's why this one might be a little more, daunting's not the word,
questionable, challenging, something like that.
All those things, yeah.
Well, listeners and Sal, I do hope, after hearing me talk about it, you do give it a chance, because there's some pretty genuine, heartfelt moments and some poignant messages in the show.
Right. I mean, I'll definitely give it a chance. I'm not put off by furry stuff.
Yay! Okay, now the bad news.
Oh, okay.
I don't think this show is ever going to be available in the US.
Oh. That's
it is
tragic.
It is a Netflix anime.
Uh-huh.
So currently it's only airing on Netflix of Japan.
Right.
But unlike Carol and Tuesday, I think this genre is so niche, we may never get the international Netflix release, which is a shame because the fan subs I've been watching, I love all the work they put in to those subs, but they're a little hard to understand.
I mean, they are fan subs.
They are.
Is this a guess, or do you have, like, evidence for this?
This is a guess, although, strangely, Miss Itagaki on her Twitter recently tweeted out how she was surprised the show was only streaming on Japanese Netflix.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if she is trying to get an international release in the works.
Huh. I do feel like, because I get it, this is not everyone's cup of tea, but have you seen some of the stuff that's on Netflix?
What?
Like, I feel like we're way more open now to things.
Oh, I get this would be a real test, like a true test of how open we are. Can we get the furry anime in America?
There you go.
All right. And then...
Do it, Netflix. You won't.
Do it, you won't. And one last thing. I didn't feel like it'd be right without showing you, Sal, the opening to this anime.
Oh, God, I love openings.
Yep, like most anime this season, this show has a pretty killer opening. So listeners, do yourself a treat after this and watch the Beastars opening.
Okay. I will say I am not a fan of stop motion.
No?
So I did not like the visuals very much. Stop motion surprisingly creeps me out.
Oh, wow. So did you not like Nightmare Before Christmas or Coraline?
Nope.
Wow. I didn't know that about you, Sal.
Yeah, don't like stop motion, don't like claymation.
Well, luckily...
Don't like puppets.
So you don't like that Taiwanese puppet anime?
Nope.
Well, luckily the I thought the stop motion was a fun part of the opening, but that's not what the actual animation of the show is.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely would be fun if you were into that, but I'm not. The song though, when it first started, I was like, am I watching a JoJo opening?
Right? It's like swing music, and I'm like, what the hell?
It's pretty, I guess, blues inspired. I don't know, but
yeah, well, it's like jazzy blues. I was thinking more
jazzy.
But I was thinking it was more like swing music, is the way as if I know anything about music.
Right? It's like it has a funky beat. I like it.
All right.
Maybe like
I'm glad.
Cowboy Bebop-esque too. But yeah.
Definitely Cowboy Bebop-esque.
So, all right. I will definitely check this out. Skip the opening. Or close my eyes.
All right, ready? Or do you need to take a sip? Okay, Sal. What scared you this week?
All right. So, first of all, I'd like to just point out real quick. It's funny that you talked about this. Me and Sus streamed last Thursday, and we had like an hour-long conversation about furries.
What?
And so this is very serendipitous. But yeah, we were playing Ni no Kuni, and so that has a lot of furries in it. So we just went on a tangent. I don't know what brought this up, but yeah.
What? Can you give me the broad strokes of that conversation?
Well, we were talking about like what started the furry community and stuff, and what was your first exposure to furry things. So it was Robin Hood and then the White Lion. I forgot what it was called.
Something
Something in the White Lion. It's basically Lion King before Lion King was Lion King.
Is this that weird Chinese knockoff?
It might be. I don't remember. But that's like the origins of it. And then we were talking about like our first exposures, and mine was probably like Space Jam with Lola Bunny.
I think
so.
My first exposure was like the Sun Wukong cartoons I used to watch as a kid.
I've never heard of those.
They were in Chinese.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we were talking about are we furries, and we were like, I mean, I don't know, maybe, I guess.
After Zai and Rakan came out, and the whole Vastaya thing became like a thing in League, I basically was like, I'm basically furry adjacent at this point, because all my favorite League characters to play were the Vastayans.
Yeah. It's weird, though, because the Vastayans can be very human, too.
Right, but no, I'm talking about, for me, it was like Wukong, Volibear, Soraka,
gotcha.
Nami, like, I'm talking about the animal.
full-on animal.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway.
Learning a lot about ourselves today.
You know, That's what Halloween... No, wait, that's not it. So today I'm talking about literature again.
Oh, snap, literature.
Yeah. My plan was I bought a book and I was like, I'm going to talk about this book after I'm done reading it. Turns out the book isn't very horror.
Oh, okay.
It's called The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman?
Yeah. He did American Gods and Good Omens.
Oh, okay, he did Good Omens.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was reading it and I was like, this is like fantasy. So I had to scrap that idea. I read a whole book just to scrap it. It's a good book though. You should read it. But so instead today I'm going to be discussing a book I have read in the past that I might have talked about but never fully. Mm-hmm. And so that book is called A Head Full of Ghosts.
You've never mentioned on the podcast for sure.
Okay, great. So it is written by Paul Tremblay, and it was published in 2015. The synopsis is: the lives of the Barretts, a normal suburban New England family, are torn apart when 14-year-old Marjorie begins to display signs of acute schizophrenia. To her parents' despair, the doctors are unable to stop Marjorie's descent into madness. As their stable home devolves into a house of horrors, they reluctantly turn to a local Catholic priest for help. Father Wanderley suggests an exorcism. He believes the vulnerable teenager is the victim of demonic possession. And to make matters worse, Marjorie's father, out of work for more than a year, and with medical bills piling up, the family agrees to be filmed by a production company that catches wind of the events, and they soon find themselves the unwitting stars of a TV show called The Possession.
Is this The Exorcist?
No. But I think it is putting a spin on that kind of movie. Or was The Exorcist a book?
What is Annabelle? What's the universe that's a part of?
That's the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, this is also feeling like that, the Conjuring universe.
Yes. But yeah, so that's the synopsis. So the book takes the perspective of the little sister of Marjorie. Her name is Mary. She's 8 years old.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's through her perspective as she recalls all the events that took place during this time.
Is this like a diary?
No, because she's like 23 in present day, so I think she's being interviewed from what I remember. And she's talking about what had happened to her. But so it takes place in this home, essentially, the whole thing, where at first it's like Marjorie is sick, so she's starting to get treatment and stuff, but because that doesn't work, then they call this priest, and then these people want to film them, and it's just like all spirals downhill so fast. And because Mary is the narrator and she's 8 years old, it's difficult to trust what is really going on because she's a child, and to a child, like, things are a lot different. So at times she's a pretty unreliable narrator. But I think what makes this book a horror is because it says like demonic possession is happening and a lot of weird things do go on, but it's also like, is this possession or is this girl like actually just really mentally ill?
Right. And because we're seeing through the lens of an 8-year-old, a lot of this might seem like demonic possession too, right?
Yeah. And she's like she's being told that her sister is possessed as well. So maybe she just starts to believe it. But yeah, it's like what I think makes it horror is it's more like a psychological thing than a whole like these scary things happening, because the whole time it's like, oh no, Mary is sick, and then oh no, Mary is possessed, and then you're like, well, is she possessed? It seems like the things she's doing would come from a possessed person, but I don't know. And then like the priest and the father start doing things very out of character, and so you're like, are they possessed? And then at a point you're like, is Mary possessed?
Oh God.
What's going on? Am I possessed?
I was gonna say, this is like The Ring. Like, if you read this book, you're gonna be possessed, and you gotta pass the book on to someone else.
Yeah, so you don't know what's happening, and you start to like not trust anyone's perspective or what anyone says, because just worse and worse incidents keep coming, and it just slowly becomes more and more unsafe in your own mind. So I think that's where the book like gets you. And I think it's a really good book because it actually really creeped me out. I tend to not be scared of a lot of things. I read horror, and then I watch a lot of horror movies, but I think what makes a good horror is when something can get in your head. And I think this author invokes like that feeling of dread more than he does like upfront scares.
It seems like he's really good at manipulating your trust.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's just a really good, scary book if you want to get into something like that.
I'm hesitant. I remember reading the first 3 chapters of It and having to throw my iPad down.
Uh-huh.
Because I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle the descriptions of Pennywise tearing the little boy's arm off or randomly eating the gay people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And this isn't so gruesome. And I'm thinking more maybe like Shutter Island style, but I remember that movie kind of creeped me out too. I don't know if I'd want to read a book, because that's a lot more intimate of a activity, you know? I feel like you're opening up yourself a lot more there.
Yes, you would think. Yeah, and it's interesting because the book also does this thing where it will cut between the past and present, with Mary actually ends up turning into a writer, and she writes a blog that discusses the events that went on in the TV show for its like 15th anniversary. And so you have these like accounts from her telling her perspective, and then it jumps to the future where she's writing this blog and telling you what the show made it look like in terms of the horror, and then to actually what happened. So you kind of get this comparison. It does sometimes take you out of it though when you start reading a blog post.
Oh, wait. So then, I'm trying to imagine the format of the book then.
So when it's her perspective just telling the story, it's just like a normal book would read. When it cuts to present day, it's like if you're reading a blog post, because she's writing a blog post.
And I'm guessing now in her 20s, the imagination is like less hyper reactive, so whatever recounts aren't as demonic.
Yeah, when it cuts to her present self, she's a lot more skeptical, and she doesn't necessarily believe her own memories.
Oh.
So it's very weird. But then, because sometimes the present day stuff can cut you, since you have to go back and forth, it's like, oh, well, I was scared, but now I'm reading this blog post and now I'm not scared, so I have to go back to being scared. But it does actually do this thing at the end that really puts the whole blog post thing and makes that part scary as well. But I
fucking hell. Oh my god, this is like what PT did. It got you used to it.
Yeah.
And would subvert your expectations to continually scare you.
Oh man, PT was so good.
Damn you, Konami.
Why'd you axe it?
Because they just want to do pachinko machines.
Well, dang.
Oh my god. You've given me a description of this book, which is like the bare minimum plot, like a Wikipedia post would have given me information, and I'm already hesitant.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's great, too, because so Marjorie is the one possessed, and sometimes she doesn't even know she's possessed, because at first she's just saying, Mary, I'm sick. That's all this is.
Wait, so, okay, I'm interpreting this. She was actually possessed.
I don't know. Because she'll be like, Mary, I was just sick. And then other times she'll do something so creepy or like start making voices. And you're like, is she possessed or is she not possessed? And so like that's the whole thing. You trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Damn, Mr. Tremblay, I wonder what's going on in your sick, twisted mind.
Yeah, so like sometimes so I do have a quote because I couldn't. So when I read, quote unquote, it was an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a book to actually look up the words, but I went and tried to look up some quotes. So I looked up a quote. It's a passage from the book that I want to read that kind of gives...
You've given a lot of definitions of quotes.
Kind of gives a perspective into his kind of false sense of safety. And so this scene is Marjorie and Mary and the family just eating dinner. And so it says, I said, I want to wear something funny and cool, Marjorie. Could I wear your sparkly baseball hat? The three of us looked at Marjorie. Now, I remember thinking that her answer could change everything back to the way it was. Dad could find a job and stop praying all the time, and Mom could be happy and call Marjorie shellfish again and show us funny videos she found on YouTube. And we could eat more than just spaghetti at dinner, and most important, Marjorie could be normal again. Everything would be okay if Marjorie would just say yes to me wearing the sparkly sequins baseball hat, the one she made in art class a few years ago. The longer we watched Marjorie and waited for her response, the more the temperature in the room dropped, and I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. And after that, it just starts going downhill really fast. But it's like this false sense of safety that it will like build up in these moments and then just go spiraling downward.
Sorry, does Marjorie talk at all? It seems like, at least from that scene, she's just remembering the feeling, but not anything anyone said.
So Marjorie does talk in this scene. So after this happens, she actually... like this because I remember what happened, but I didn't get the exact words. She ends up like vomiting.
Oh my god.
Just staring blankly at everyone and just vomiting out. And there's just vomit everywhere. And then she looks up at Mary and she says, no, you can't wear my baseball hat because you're going to die soon. And I don't want dead people wearing my things. So it's... She does talk, and sometimes she'll just seem like this normal girl. And she's like, Mary, can you go away? I'm trying to do something. Because she's the little sister. But then other times she'll do that. Or there's this one time where Mary wakes up and Marjorie is there looking at her. And she's like, Marjorie, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I like to watch you sleep. I do it every night. And it's just like, what? It, like, would a normal person do this? So it's just those, like, moments, and they get you so hard, and then it'll go back to, like, everything's normal, and then it'll go again to, like, the horror aspect. It's just a really good book. I really love it.
It's definitely it sounds like a gray horror book. I don't know if I'm brave enough to give this a chance.
Yeah. So that's my spooky, my spooky topic. A head full of ghosts. It's great. That's all. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, yeah, consider me spooked. Jesus Christ. I wonder if this dude is like either twisted or this is how he interpreted schizophrenia as a child.
Yeah.
Because we can only ever write from experience, right?
I mean, you know. There actually was a question I read on Goodreads that someone had said, are you worried that people will like link schizophrenia to demonic possession and think bad of you for doing that? So he responded, he's like, no, I think if anything, people would be more aware that sometimes Catholic priests do use schizophrenia as an excuse for exorcism.
Ah.
So I thought that was an interesting take.
Yeah, that's true. That was what we got excited about this week, or I guess spooked about this week.
You know, we try.
We tried. For me, it was the Beastars anime and manga, and for Sal, A Head Full of Ghosts by the author, please?
Paul Tremblay.
Paul Tremblay. Thank you, Mr. Tremblay. You've scared me at 12:57 on a Saturday afternoon. Listeners, thank you so much for joining and enthusing with us. If you like what you heard, consider sharing with a buddy, and you guys can nerd out together. If you'd like to help out the show, then a review on our iTunes and our Stitcher pages would go a long way towards podcast visibility. If you have any recommendations for the show, feel free to put them in the comments of our SoundCloud page. I'm talking things to check out, show improvements, nut jar offerings, spooky things, so that we can scare me some more. If you want to see pictures from our convention coverage or any of the stuff we've done live, be sure to check out our Instagram. If you like what we do here on Those Nerds Over There and you want to help produce the show, then consider becoming a patron. It's thanks to the support of our patrons that we get the privilege to make this show, and we try to give back by making some bonus content for our patrons. If you want a place to hang out with us, then feel free to join our Discord. We have dedicated channels for topic discussions, show improvements, nudge offerings. We're always linking fun stuff, and we're always talking about any new and surprising news to come out. Links to all these pages can be found on our website, thosenerdscast.wixsite.com/home. That's wixsite.com/home. Sal, do you have anything to plug?
Yes. Before I do that, though, I do want to preface our anniversary did pass, so yay for us.
Yay for us.
And we do love our Patreons, but we know not everyone can give money. And I do want to give more emphasis again. Ratings and reviews do really help.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so if you do want to help and you don't have money or whatever, that's probably the best way to do it.
And word of mouth, like I say, sharing it with your friend so you guys can have a good time together, that is also huge help.
Yes. But if you want to find me on social media, I'm at Salzik on Twitter. You can see all my Inktober drawings and other things I post. I am streaming with my friend Sus on his channel on Thursdays at 6 p.m. PST, and his channel is at Sus and Friends, the letter N. And then you can find me on my blog at gotamoment.com.
You can find me on Twitter at @arielize_. It's a decent way to get in contact with the show, but you can also message us on our account Twitter, Those Nerds Cast. I do want to mention that at the time of this post, there are 2 days left on our friend James Busima's October Gargoyle Pin Kickstarter. Last time I checked, we are a little over 1,300, and I would really like us to hit that 2,000 mark for him so we can unlock those gold variants, because his pins are wonderful. But check out his Kickstarter. Find it on his Instagram and his Twitter at JAMESBOUSEMA. Thanks again for joining us this spooky week, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.
Goodbye.